start recording. Okay. I was saying today we will be discussing out of school programs that propose games as activities for keeping the kids or youth active in their life. Out of school, don't think that out of school means only literally out of school, but in many cases out of school is intended as is meant as activities that are not developed during physical education. So partially it overlaps what we discussed the last time on tactical games or sport education. They may be considered in school and out of school programs too. But there are many of them out there that propose games or propose different things, or even are just simply counseling parents and kids, so for them to learn how to be active and how to enjoy physical activity through games, and meanwhile developing physically, mentally, socially. So the main point of the out of school programs is that they usually either do not at all consider physical education, so they are developed out of the physical education time, or physical education is just a small part of the whole program, and the main part of the program is giving kids and adolescents and young adults the opportunity to participate in games out of the school hours or out of the physical education time, so to develop further more their active habits. As we said the last time, physical education is not considered really enough or sufficient for health. So you can have a very good physical education plan with a lot of games and kids playing, etc. But it's still usually almost all around the world is just 2 hours of physical education per week. So regardless of how good you are, how well you prepare your classes, your impact on the overall physical activity habits of the kids are relatively low. That doesn't mean that you have to give up, but obviously a support from activities that are out of school, developed out of school, is helpful to reach the recommendations that they all say are good for youth to develop properly. So I composed a list of the most known programs that are developed out of school. They are very different. They come from different places. I have created a list of those that are developed around the world and a list of those that are developed in Europe. There are plenty more of them. Like the list could be basically never-ending, endless list. I selected just some of them. I also created this list in Word with links, so if you're interested in checking, you can later check the documents online that they have, what kind of proposals they have. I'll go now one by one, little, just discussing them, show you some video when possible, and so we just for your knowledge to know what kind of things happen out there. One of the reasons why I wanted to show you is because there are many things that we can do as professionals out there for promoting physical activity through games, but it's good to know, as professionals, it's good to know of those programs that exist and they are structured. Like we can go out there and just in the community present some games or together, and it's still good. But those programs that I'm showing you, typically they are structured programs that receive funds or give funds to schools or to the communities, and therefore they have a bit of more established structure, and usually they are more feasible and more reliable than just random exercise that you can do with kids in a community. So as a start, I would start with some of the world programs. One of them is called Gantry Kids and Teens. Again, you don't have to worry about memorizing the names because I will throw a lot of them, but there will be this Word file that I will post on Inolat later in useful files, just for you to know. And you can check it there if you're interested. Gantry Kids and Teens is a program that is funded, that is mostly developed in the United States and English-speaking countries. What they do is they have their own facilities around the world in different places. So they have their own establishments, they have their own equipment, they have their own spaces, and they propose, basically their objective is to propose activities that are fun for kids of all ages, with the aim of developing fitness. So, for instance, they have a whole program of games for toddlers, so for pre-kids until the age of 4 or 5. So all these fun activities that allow the toddlers to discover the world through their body. There are games they play, etc. And meanwhile, through the movement, they discover the world, they discover senses, they develop their sensorial perceptions, etc. They have programs for kids, for teens, and then they also have sports clubs. So they organize literally sports clubs. Mostly for kids who have lower fitness. So sports clubs are everywhere. You can go to any sports club, but mostly those sports clubs that have the focus on competition, they would put more effort into kids and youngsters that have more talent or more skills, less on those who have less skills, because obviously if a sports club is made for competition, what you're interested in is winning, which is not my philosophy, as you know, for a long time. Here we have an intruder, sorry.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, we're going to do good. And so the sports clubs are that they propose here in this program.
The tennis.
Anche tennis, yes. But go
And
with
we
mommy,
can the ball.
Maria, go with mommy, please. Okay, allora, sorry guys. So the sports club that they organize are more on for kids of all type of talents, and they are not focusing too much into competition, but they are more providing opportunity for all kids to try the sports. Most of the time, the sports that they organize are based on interest. Depending on the groups that they have, the families can sign up. And the groups that they have certain interests, so they group kids in based on the interest, and then they organize activities that are sports related. They have after-school programs. They have they call them school recess camps. It's like camps, summer camps. Actually, they also offer summer camps, but they are also school recess camps, that they are literally camps that they organize for the recess. During the recess time, between classes, after school, when the school is finished, etc. It's a sort of a series of activities and games that the kids can do in a style of a camp. Just that is fraction in a moment, then they go back to class, then again stop, then they go back to class. Something that they are interesting, and you can check it in their web page, is that they organize events for families, so in which usually the focus is games and playing, etc. They propose challenges to kids. So the kids, they can go, they have their access to the page, there are challenges that are proposed, and they have to face those challenges, or if they want, they can participate in those challenges. And usually the challenges refer to either healthy habits or games to do, or even sometimes games to create. They organize outdoor trips. So they organize tours or in the countryside, walking around all together with the kids. So there is also a part that is related to learning how to use the environment, etc. And what's probably make this program particular compared to the others is that they also are among the few that propose active birthday parties. So for kids, instead of having kids, the typical birthday parties or common birthday parties, especially in the United States, are those who are filled with sugars and probably mostly not sedentary, but not that active. And so they propose these active birthday parties in which they go to the places when this kid's birthday, and they offer activities for fun activities for the kids to be in movement and play and be physically active at the same time that they are fun because it's birthday party. And this is the so-called gantry kits. I have a web page open, so I will show it to you briefly, but then obviously if you are interested you can check it later because I will upload it here. So this is the web page. That's called Gantry Kits and Cleans, and you can see everything basically I talked about is right here. So you can go to school recess camps and they show you what they do during recess or during holidays, etc. And they have plenty of things. They have also their own coaches. They have also trainings for the coaches to learn how to do how to do things or how to present the things to the kids, because it's not only that we have to have fun activities and games, but also the way we present the games. Like always, the attitude of our attitude as professionals in this field is very important for the kids and the youngster, but also for adults to get involved in the activity and in the game more. So this is one. Following one is called Box Kits, BOKS Kits, Box Kits. Usually the one interesting thing that they propose is games through which the kids develop functional fitness. Have you, any of you who has an idea of what functional fitness may refer to? Guys? I'm observing a bunch of black screens, so hopefully you are there behind. Anyone?
No.
No, not really.
Thank you, Philip, but at least I know you are there.
Functional fitness is when you do like moves you need in daily life. For example, deadlifts, for example, helps you in daily life to do lifting up heavy things.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah, it's precisely like that. Like when you hear something, someone tells you that it's a functional something, the word functional tells it everything. It tells everything. Like it's with the function, like associated with a function, and the function is precisely a daily activity of life. Many times we have kids, but also adults doing, or we ask them to do activities, and especially those who don't play sports or don't play for competition, etc. They may wonder why they do that or what's that for. And the functional training or functional fitness that they propose in this program is precisely showing the kids or doing some games that immediately associate what they are doing with what they need it for in real life. I myself did it a lot back when I was in the States and Mexico. It's pretty interesting for kids to play and meanwhile see what they use it, what they can use it for. Kids and adolescents, right? So all age. For instance, with the middle schools, we were having activities that were representing precisely situations of life. So, for instance, reproducing, you go with your mom to the supermarket, and you get out of the supermarket with bags filled with food, and the food is heavy, so you help your mom. And so we were doing the game of like relay races in which the kids would have to bring the food from the entrance of the supermarket to the car and put it into the trunk of the car. And obviously we were simulating that, right? So we would have bags from the H-E-B. H-E-B is the most famous supermarket chain in the United States, filled with, not with real food, but filled with equipment that we simulated was food, and they had to keep it balanced between the two hands and bring it to the car. So they were doing strength, but they were associating it immediately with an activity that they can do in real life. Another very common that we would do in Spain for early ages was civic training, like learning space and time awareness. So understanding for the kids playing games that develop the space and time awareness. By the way, if I say space and time awareness, are you familiar with that? Anybody who's familiar with this? What's that? What do you think is that? Developing space and time awareness. You can also say, no, I have no idea, but don't be mute, please.
Can you explain it, please?
Thank you. It's just I was waiting because I saw Adrian removing the muting, so I hope that someone wanted to say something. So yeah, we'll gladly explain it. So time and space awareness is a topic that is developed especially in elementary school, in which kids learn to understand the concept of time and space and how to use them in the movements. They are the basis of any movements. Like for instance, when someone throws a ball towards you and you want to catch it, what you are doing is calculating the time that it takes the ball to reach more or less your reach, and the space that the ball has to cover and you with your body have to cover to take that ball. So basically you don't know it, but because we are already adult and we do it automatically. But for kids, it's not easy to process the time concept, and the space concept are very abstract concept for the kids, especially the time concept. And in this phase of their age, when they are very young, they start learning it. This is something that we use every day. For instance, when you're driving a car and you're getting close to a crossroads and you see a car coming from the other side, you have to calculate the time that it takes for you to reach the crossroad, the other car to reach the crossroad, and you have to calculate also the distance that you have from the crossroad to start braking at a proper point. So this is time and space awareness. If you think about it, you use it every day for everything. For the kids, they've developed it in this moment, and that's why precisely for these examples that I just made to you, as you can see, this is something that is developed through physicality. So it's us who develop it, who want to develop it. But for kids, it's important to see how they use it. And therefore, for instance, in Spain, we were doing these activities in which we would draw on the floor of the gym, for instance, if we were indoor with chalk. We would draw streets, we would draw signals of the road, except very basic signals of the road, sometimes just with, different than the normal ones, but with animals and this stuff explaining what you have to do in a certain situation. And then we would have kids on bicycles or on any other mean of transportation going through these roads all together. It would be very big roads, like covering the whole floor of the gym. And they would learn to go through these roads and stop at the proper moment when another kid was coming from the other side. So be able to calculate well their space and time in order to be able to go through these roads without hitting anybody, but in a safe environment, because inside the gym you don't risk to be really hit by a car. This is another example of a functional training. This example is probably not fitness related. It's more on coordination and, again, time and space awareness. But so all the games are immediately connecting the physical development to its use in the real life. Is that clear? You can also put this or this if you want. Thank you. I see one at least. Two, wonderful. Thank you, guys. So this is this program, Box Kids, focuses a lot on fitness activities that are related, that make an immediate relation for the kids with the real life usage, which is very important, because the kids or everybody tend to remember better something when they can associate it with something that they do every day in their life. Then they also have games for the games and fun activity for the basic motor skills. Here again, motor skills, especially in youth, they are divided into two big blocks. One are the basic motor skills, and the other are the complex motor skills. The basic motor skills are those that you learn at very early ages, and they serve as a basis for developing the complex ones. The basic are walking, running, jumping, what else? Throwing, catching. These are considered basic motor skills. From there on, you develop the complex. The complex are those associated with specific activities, sports activity or non-sports activity. But especially in kids from 5 to 10, 5 to 12, you develop the basic motor skills. And this program, Box Kids, has an all list of activities and games for developing these basic motor skills. It seems for us, maybe for us it can seem very simple, very silly, but learning to walk properly, learning to run properly is not as easy as it seems. If you have, I'm sure you have knowledge on biomechanics of running and walking, and you go out there any day of your life, especially here in Tyrol, where everybody is out there running and walking, etc., because here the environment is perfect for that. You'll notice that maybe half of the people don't really run in a proper way, or they have a technique that may put them at higher risk of injuries, for instance, because they haven't learned to run in a proper way, and there is a high risk for injuries when you do that in a way that is not proper. So yeah, it sounds silly because everybody walks, everybody runs, but it's very important for the, especially in youth, in childhood, to learn the proper technique or the proper way to do it, so to avoid in the future injuries and this stuff. And they have a whole bunch of activities and games to do that and learn the pace of running, the rhythm, the phases, etc., and jumping and throwing and catching, etc. Then they have also middle school programs. The main thing that they want to do with these box kits is the main scope is, as they say, hiding the fitness component into games, into challenges, into relay races, etc. One of the main problem of adolescents, and in Austria is no different, is that mostly at a certain age, kids don't really enjoy, not all of them obviously, do not really enjoy activities that are too strict, but they enjoy more activities that are fun, obviously. And so all their plan is, we develop fitness, but we disguise it as a fun game. So when a kid or when an adolescent think that the game is fun, they forget how much effort they put. Actually, in some cases, especially in childhood, it's very important for us that work as professionals in this field. It's very important to know when to stop the game, because if the game is very fun, especially the kids at a younger age, they don't have a real perception, a proper perception of their body limits, and they keep going until they basically die on the floor. So like, it's for the kids, especially for kids, for us it's very important to know where the limit is if the game is fun, because they will be wanting to play, and they are less able to feel that their body is getting tired. And so anyways, in this case, they want to do this, they do this fitness development through games that don't look like fitness activities, and so they might be more motivated for the adolescents. One of the two of the main points of these programs are what they call the box bursts. They are sort of a burst mean explosion, like something that bursts, it explodes. So it's an explosion of physical activity. So they propose 1 minute to 10 minutes games that you do in school, during the classroom time, not the physical education, but any classroom time, to avoid the too long sitting time. So the schools that accept that, every now and then they do 1 to 10 minutes of all of a sudden games that involve activity, physical activity inside the classroom, and then they stop, they go back to their table and to their desks, and they start again, they continue with the class. It can be even 1 minute, a 1 minute burst of physical activity. There is an important thing beneath it. 1 minute of physical activity won't change that much. Usually they say that 10 minutes in a row is what's the best, but obviously you cannot take 10 minutes of a class, because the math teacher or the geography teacher or whatever teacher wouldn't be really happy to give away 10 minutes every 30 of their class. Obviously it needs the willingness of the teachers and the administration of the school, but 1 minute is, even if not impacting that much the activity of the kids, it has another different purpose. It's to literally break the sitting time. There is an interesting research that says that sitting times and physical activity are separated things. It's not that they are similar but different. If you have 8 hours of physical activity per day, but you also have 8 hours of sitting time per day, your health is not as good as you may think, because the 8 hours of sitting still affect your health, even if you are so active. So trying to reduce the sitting time is very important, especially in early ages. And they propose this 1 minute game. So kids stop being sitting and they do this 1 minute game, and then they go back to their place. And then after a certain while, 1 minute break. And so that breaks a bit the habit of being sitting. And then the other two things that they have is yoga and mindfulness programs. So they do yoga for kids and this stuff. So they propose programs with specific teachers, specific coaches that teach yoga for kids, and yoga and mindfulness, and the Spartan races. And they basically Spartan races are those crazy races that are very tough, and they are organized in the communities, etc. And they do propose activities for the youth, for them to like prepare, even if you don't have to then get into a Spartan race, but they are sort of activities that then prepare you for the Spartan race. And they have skill of the week. So every week they play games that develop a certain skill, and each skill of the week is related to some skill that they need for the Spartan races. This is also for introducing the kids to an alternative activity, and if they engage in that because they have fun, they may try to do Spartan races later. I may show you a couple of activity here. I will open the link and then share with you. I will just pause it so I can then share it. Where are you guys? You're here. Share. Etc. etc. This is an example of a buck burst. It's a short activity. Obviously, it's not that demanding, but helps you stop like from the sitting time. So come out of the sitting time to do something that is a bit active. Obviously, this is not on fitness, but it's more on coordination, on cooperation, etc. But is an example of a burst that they propose for it can be in the classroom, it can be out of the classroom. One of the points, and you could see it there, is that in the program, they also challenge families that participate in the program to create their own bursts and then publish the video and propose the video to the other families participating. So if they want to try it at home, etc. There's another thing that I'm showing you. You can see it, right, guys? Yes? No?
No, right now not.
No, right now not. But before you could see the video, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, before this.
Now I'm opening a new one. All right, let's stop it here. Let's share. Oh, there is a, oh, okay. And here. This is another example of a burst that is proposed by another family. So they're doing some activities that they invented, they created, and then they post them and they propose them to the others. In this case, it's one of the workers of Box, but they are using their kids. Oh, sorry. It's from the beginning. We won't show you the. Etc. etc. So these are another example of bursts that are proposed by the program, and then they post them online, and then the other families can take. You have several bursts, and you can choose the one that you like. If you are in school, the teacher can choose one, the kids can choose one and do it there in school or at home with the families, etc. And they are all, as you could see, they are either on fitness or on balance, coordination, etc. And it's interesting that but many of the programs do it. They involve the families, so the families also are active altogether. Other programs, very similar. Kids Health is called. Kids Health in this particular case is a program that actually does not propose the games, like does not do the games, but they give guidelines. And they give guidelines, they give counseling to both the parents and the children, and they explain or present, but they don't apply themselves. They just propose them, and then the families are free to pick them. Activities to be out of school with the family. One of the main points here is that a lot of research demonstrates that kids are more active when their parents are more active, and therefore activities and games that you can play in the family with fun. One of them I even proposed to you, like in the challenge, in the COVID challenge. Show me some video of activities that you can do with kids and in a family. It's very important, especially imagine in a period like this, precisely like COVID, if a family tend to be sedentary at home because they have the habit of maybe joining for watching movie, and this stuff is still good quality time with the kids, watching movies, etc. But it's obviously in a period of COVID in which you cannot do much because you're locked into the house. Having activities and games that you can do in the house with the family is very important to keep the health up. And so this program, even earlier than COVID, gives advice on how the families can have fun together and be active together and do activities all together. They also give information on safety, so how to be safe when you do activities, on nutrition, on mental health, and they also propose in their webpage video challenges. So they challenge you. They present videos with challenges that the families can try to face. It's always in terms of games and activities. They show some game on videos. They have experiments. So they have a wall page. When I show you I will show you the web page that they have. And they have a page in which they have a bunch of experiments that you can do, or you can try, or you can read, and that helps literacy. Let me reach it, and then I'll show it to you. Oh, here. So, someone asked if such programs also exist in Austria. So far, I haven't found any structured program for Austria. Also, it's possible that my search was not as precise because I search in English typically, because these programs are most of the programs, even if their mother language is not English, they have a lot of stuff in English because they are international. As far as I know, there are no such programs are not in Austria. And also, when we switch into the European programs, I haven't found any from Austria. The European Union presents a list of projects and programs that are developed within the European Union for kids to play and be active, and Austria was not listed among there. So there is a list of countries. There were any type of countries from Lithuania to Estonia to Ireland, etc. Austria was not part of the list. That might be one of the issues why in Austria there is such a low rate of active kids in currently, but I couldn't find anything. If you're interested and you find anything for Austria that is developed right now in Austria, that's great. I am proposing through the UABK with our team a program on which I discussed, which I mentioned last time for adolescents in schools. Hopefully it goes well. Maybe we can start the program here. But as far as I know, there is nothing specific here. How expensive are these courses for the children? Depends. Some programs are for free. Some program requires a monthly fee for the parents, and they are the less effective because if parents, many times kids that have less skills or less physical activity time per week is not because they don't want, but many times it's because the parents have no time or no money to invest in that, or there are many different reasons. But some of the programs you need to pay. In other cases, many of the programs that I'm telling you, they are usually in association with administration of towns, town halls, Gemeinde, or local administrations, or even schools. So either the schools pay the whole cost and the families have it for free, or the administration pays the whole thing and they have it for free too, or they are funded. They're funded by a union, by an organization, and therefore they are completely for free. Some of the programs a couple of the programs that we have seen are paid, but the schools pay for them. So far, actually, the program that I explained to you mostly are the schools or the administrations that pay for them, and then they made them available for the families. You can find any of them. The most effective, as I can tell you, are either funded, so they don't require money because they get money from government, or the schools apply for them, and the schools and the administrations pay for them, and therefore for the kids are given for free. I think it's one of the most important things, especially in the area of my interest, which is health, that there are no extra expenses for kids. The expenses are either for us or for the schools or for the administrations, because forcing or asking families to pay would reduce the effectiveness of these programs. So I hope I replied to the question that was written to me on the chat, and I think it's interesting for everybody. Let me show you the web page of this specific Kids for Kids Health. So see, they have games for kids, and you can click, and they will show you different things. They have movies for the kids to learn about different aspects of health, including the kids can learn about asthma, about diabetes, about our body and how it works in a nice and in a fun way. And then there are experiments. Experiment to try. Are two eyes better than one, for instance? And you click on it. Let's see. And so here they tell you what you need to make the experiment, how to do the experiment, and all these experiments are related to your body. So the kids try the experiments. They are fun activities, challenging activities, and they can try them at home with parents or not. Here they also tell you if you need an adult with you or not, and you can read them and try them. So in this case, I'm not part of the program, but I can access all these activities freely. See, this is scavenger hunt, so like treasure hunt, how the body works. And you click on this and you see how the body works. So, and then there are several challenges, and the kids are asked to find out these challenges, solve these riddles, like in a scavenger hunt. So you have to find the treasure. And so they have these activities that are available for everybody, and that they are really helpful for kids. They're challenging them, they are giving them games and activities that they may want to try at home. What else? There is another couple more from the United States. I will show you directly the video. In this case, this is Action for Healthy Kids. And they have games. Again, they have games with basically they give schools pay a full block of games, sample games that they can carry out during the schools. They give them to the schools, and the schools figure out how to implement them, which to implement, what kind of things they can do. They give them resources for creating school breakfast, so they also work on the nutrition of the kids. And then they also have a section that is called Parents for Healthy Kids. And so they give parents games, activities, and all type of strategies that they can do with their kids to be active at home with their families. I will show you the video. This is an example of sensorial development. So it's a tasting activity. They have this every kid healthy week, they call it. Every kid is healthy, and they have the Tasty Tuesday. They do these activities in which they are doing different things. It can be physical, or it can be also sensorial development. In this case, is sensorial development. Just go a bit further because they are chatting a lot. But basically what they are doing is etc., etc. Here they are just chatting too much, but I'm removing the audio. But for instance, this is part of the activities, and the kids, even though it doesn't seem that it's not intense, don't forget that kids need to develop physically in different ways, not only run everywhere, but also develop their senses, for instance. And sensorial training is part of, as we said like a few minutes ago, is part of the development of kids. Especially when associated with healthy habits. So the game in this case is tasting different types of food understanding the difference, which is a development of the taste, and then proposing, this is a family participating in the program, they propose a recipe, a healthy recipe. The kids incorporate as she said, what they like from the different things that they have there, and they taste. They say, oh, this is sweeter, this is more acid, etc. So they learn to discern between different tastes, and then they also do this part of healthy eating that is usually is very good to have together with games and activities, so to develop properly. As I said, this is a family. Each family have different, or each activity may be done in very different ways. In this case, they were doing it a bit too talked and less active, but there are all kind of activities that you can see in that. And this was the action for healthy kids. And then we're going to Europe. So to briefly show you or discuss about Europe. There are several projects, and most of them are, since someone asked me before, most of them are funded. So they are given for free, or they are available for free for the kids to participate in them, or it's not accessible to everybody, but for instance, they are focusing on a certain community. So for that community, it's completely for free, or they are focused on a certain area or school area, and for all the schools in that area, they are for free. Most of them, the European Union has a lot of funds for this, and promotes a lot of games for kids that develop active habits. So for instance, the European section of the World Health Organization has a bunch of programs. I will briefly explain them to you, but before that, there is a program that is called Alpha Project, ALPHA. As a friend of mine was part of it and developed them. They don't really do any games, etc., but they go to schools for free and they test them. So what they do is assessing if their fitness levels are good, if their mental level are good, what kind of barriers the kids have for participating in sports and activities, what kind of enjoyment they have of the activities. And why do I tell you that it's not game associated? Because the assessment of the kids level is very important, and it's something that we have been discussing for longer among professionals. And there are many different strategies that have been proposed. Alpha is one of the most recognized in Europe currently because it's very up to date, and is a really good starting point for then establishing all the game activity that you can do for the kids to improve. Now you gotta know what level the kids are to propose activities and games that are really fun for the kids. What happens if you don't do that? What happens if you propose games that are too challenges for the kids? What do you think it happens? Like, you don't assess, so you go there, you propose challenges, games that seem to be fun, but they are just too challenging, too difficult for the kids. What do you think is the result? What do you think happens in the kids' mind or in general? Anyone who has an idea or wants to try? Guess? What would you do if the activity that is given to you, is asked you to do, is just too difficult, but very difficult? Like, you don't even know where to start.
Yeah, kind of like give up or get boring.
Yeah, you may try, right? You are also adult, so you may have a bit more resilience. You may try 3, 4, 5, 6 times. There is no way to solve this thing. Not even solving it. No.
Yeah.
So eventually, what happens, exactly as in the chat also they commented, the children get overwhelmed with the difficulty, lose the fun of the game, exactly, and they get demotivated, and actually we lose the whole meaning of the game, which is to learn to be active at the same time that you have fun. You don't have fun. Now let's put it the other way around. What happens if I give you an activity that is a challenge and is very, very, very easy, like in terms of you don't have to do basically anything for that. And don't think about yourself and the activities that we professor may give you for the end of the semester, because you would be more than happy to have an activity in which you don't have to put any effort, right? Like you have already enough things to do. But imagine like a physical challenge. We are playing a game and they give you a physical challenge or some activity that I consider fun. And oh, this is the challenge. It's very easy to solve. So you would solve it in 1 second with no effort. What do you think will be the result for the kids?
They start being noisy and bored.
Noisy, they are always noisy. Yes.
But even more because they start doing something
Yeah.
else that is challenging in their eyes.
Yeah, they have too much time, right? Because they solve it too easily.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They start to be noisy, they start to be bored again, and their child lose the fun again. So the same as if you have too high challenge in the games, if you have too low challenge, basically the result in the end is the same. You don't learn much, if not anything. If it's too low challenge, means that you already have the skills to do that. So what do you learn physically speaking? Probably nothing. Just doing it is something that you do it normally. So, but if it's too demanding, you probably won't do anything and won't develop also anyways, because after 2-3 attempts, you don't have the physical skill or any skill for doing that, and you just give up. So you don't learn. So you don't learn, you get bored, you lose all the fun in both cases. So an essential part of games, of any activity, game or not game, is evaluating what's the condition of the kid, what kind of challenge can we give them that is fun and that really requires their attention, but they can solve it. And so that's why Alpha project, or Alpha just as much as other projects, I'm telling you Alpha because probably recently is the one that is used the most, but maybe you are familiar with Eurofit that existed and still exists right now, is also a way to a free battery of tests to see what's the level of kids and build from there the activities. In America, they have the Fitness Grant program, etc. These programs are made for assessing. Other than that, we have really plenty of programs. I have again, I have the web page there. So if you're interested to delve more into that, good. Like there are some that are very interesting. I will go over them quickly because it's just too much information. But just for instance, in Belgium, they have a program that they call Sports After School Pass. So what they do is that they basically fund, so pay, the project pays, so replying for about the expenses. They are in cooperation with sports clubs, and they fund the sports club to propose alternative activities, not only for those who want to compete, but for those who have less skills or less fitness. And they fund them. They fund the clubs so they don't have to worry about the economy, and they put their facilities, they make their facilities available for kids who want to try certain sports, but they don't have the initial skills for a competition. And so the kids have a list of all the clubs that are involved in the project, a list of all the activities that they can do, and they can choose to where to do it, with whom to do it, when to do it. They have several days and several schedules per week, and this overcomes a big issue for sports and after school sports for kids. Like maybe they enjoy them, they have fun, but they don't have funds or they don't have time. So basically through this project, they make available, they call it pass because the kids receive a pass. It's a free pass for taking any sport they like or any activity they like in the afternoon, and everything is fun. In Croatia, they have a thing that is called Polygon for Physical Activity of School Children. Basically, what they have, this is not about what they do, but what kind of resources they give. They have a huge amount of equipment that is portable, like equipment for all kind of games. They have this that is portable. So they basically go from school to school. they build their equipment there, and you can really do thousands of games with those equipments. This is consider this. This is community related. So what kind of needs the specific community has? Probably in Croatia uh, there is a lack of equipment, or like the schools are not that they don't have enough equipment for the kids to play after school, during school, etc. And they literally provide this equipment funded by the European Union. They provide this equipment. This is actually funded by the World Health Organization, the section of Europe. And they have equipment that can be built and unbuilt in a moment. And you can create thousands of games with that. There are more, as I say, if you're interested, go there, and there is a list of different countries that propose different game programs. Tell Me Your Story from the Czech Republic, Schools in Motion from Estonia. There is a swimming school program in Greece, in which the kids can play fun activity in the water after school. Greece, a lot of sea, a lot of beaches, so they can use their environment for that, and they give availability of kids of instructors that present them fun games in the water. So they learn, through which they learn cooperation, socialization. Also, they give them information on hygiene and safety in the water. For instance, they teach them basics of safety, how to save people when they are in difficulties and all this stuff. And at the same time, they play and they learn to use the water for games and for being active. There is one that I prepared a YouTube video for you. Well, I found a YouTube video for you. It's from Italy. That's why I had to. It's my country. The Sport di Classe is called. So it's activities for the schools. Also, this is not available for everybody, but the schools that want to participate have it for free, and they have a lot of programs that promote playing sports in the community, create links between schools and sports club, and offer also kids different activities through videos. I'm showing you one of the videos. Oh, it's opening. Give me a second. And now I'm sharing it with you. There you go. I removed the audio because it's in Italian and it doesn't really matter. But this is a family. They are presenting I have the YouTube links there also if you want to see it later. And they are presenting activities that you can do at home during the COVID in this case. They made a video and then they explain you how to do it, what to do. So what do you need? This is the equipment that you need for the activity, how to prepare the activity, and then they show you the games that you play. This is the game of the bunny, and you're active at home and you're playing the game with hopefully with your family, in which you are doing some activities that sort of a game and at the same time develops you physically. This is relay races with slalom. So you do it with just plates, with just adhesive tape and a few things that you can use, and develops balance or stuff. Another thing was the animals. I'll show you. So here, motricity developed through animals movement, the butterfly. Forget about the performance of this kid, but the butterfly, the frog, and all of them develop different things like different fitness and different skills. And then you can have, this is the shrimp game. So you move in different ways, you learn motricity, coordination, etc. The bear, and then all together you put them. Anyways, in general, Sport di Classe is the name of the project. Proposes activity of this type, videos that are available for the school and out of school, and you learn to be active and play games with your siblings, with your friends in the community or at home, and many more. Another one that maybe that I found interesting is, and so far we haven't mentioned this, well, there are two more that I will discuss with you, and the rest, a couple more that are more or less doing the same as we said before. as the other programs. One is in Portugal, and it's called Ciclo Expresso do Oriente. That's the Portuguese name. And they do, why do I want to talk about it, even if very shortly, is because there is not much to say, but there is a huge important thing to discuss in this case, is active transportation. So to learn, for the kids to learn to be active when they move from one place to another. So this is not precisely games, but it's activities that you can do with others that are fun activities and help you being active even in moments in which you are not, that you usually tend not to be active. Probably in your case in Austria here, this is not a big issue because everybody takes a bicycle and they are active when they move. But in certain countries, like active transportation is a huge issue. Like, let's think about the United States or even the same Mexico. Just to make you a personal example, me and my wife went once to an island in Mexico, close to Cancun. It's a small island. It's very nice, nice beaches and this stuff. And we wanted to rent a bike to visit the island, so to bike around the island. And the guys there were telling us, you rent a bike, are you crazy? That's too much effort. Like, no, we only rent cars, we only have scooters. Eventually we found a place for renting bikes, and it was like the island was a total of 2 kilometers long. So like you would do the whole perimeter of the island is 2 kilometers. But people have really, in some countries, they are so stuck to the passive transportation, so by car, by motorbike, etc., that they don't realize the importance of that. So Portugal is one of, Lisbon, where this program is developed, is one of the example. And what they do is what they try to do with this program is to create the condition for having fun and do a sort of family activity all together, and move actively from school to home or from home to school. It's pretty fun because they call it Ciclo Expresso do Oriente, like Orient Express, Bicycle Orient Express. And it works pretty much as a bus, you know, the school buses that go around the towns and pick up the kids, and then they bring them to the school. But it's not a real bus, it's bicycles. Like it's a group of kids that go by bicycle with at least one parent per each 4 kids. So they involve the families, they involve the kids. There is one parent with 1 kid or 2 kids. They start like a bus from their place. They go pick up another kid plus parents or not. And then they do like buses, but they are bicycles. So they pick up the kids around. They become bigger and bigger group of cyclers, and they all go together to school. And the following day, maybe another parent starts with another kid. They are the first to go. They pick up the others, and little by little, they form this sort of Expresso do Oriente of bicycle. I'll show you a very, very, very short video that shows how it works. And it's really short because it's nothing more but going on a bike to school, which for us, again, here is very normal, but in many countries it's not. So they just have, you know, this bicycle, they join little by little, the kids join with the parents. So there are some kids and some parents, and they little by little pick up everybody, and then all together reach the school. And that's it. Simple, easy, but they promote something that is very important in a kid's life, which is the sharing moments together with other kids and parents, learning to be active with the family, and at the same time using a time that typically would be sedentary or passive to do some activity. Lastly,
I'm sorry. The problem is in the States, for example, they have to do distances that's not possible to do by bike. Like I've been there for half a year, and all the kids had to be driven by car because they only get to their schools by highway. And
totally. That's completely environmental linked. Where did you say you were in the United States?
Yes, I've been there.
I've been there for 2 years, I can tell you, depending on where you live. But I don't know where you were. I was in San Antonio, and there is no way that you don't get a highway. So that program specific couldn't be applied in that specific environment. So definitely with you. It depends a lot on what kind of environment you have.
Right.
So actually connected to that, Daria and everybody, there is, and this is out of the topic, but it's connected, relatively connected. There is a huge area of the sports sciences that works. Grazian, sorry, my kid just gave me this. There is a huge area of the sports sciences that is relatively new and works on how to make the environment feasible for sports. So they work together with the architects, with the Gemeinde, with politicians, etc., administrations, for environments that, or how to change the urban construction to make it more feasible for activity. That is not, don't think that this is only for the sport thing, because that would be very naive. It's for many reasons, among them also pollution. Other is economy. You save, governments may save a lot of money if they do that. They do develop plans that are more into active transportation. But absolutely, as Daria said, this is not something that you can do everywhere. You need to have the conditions. When I lived in the United States in San Antonio, you don't go anywhere unless you take a highway. So then I lived in maybe in some neighborhood you can do it, but in others definitely not. When I lived in Mexico, it was Monterrey, 8 million inhabitants. It's a huge metropolis, and really there was no cycling path. In some cases, there was not even a sidewalk. How do you do active transportation to school when you don't have a sidewalk and you have millions of cars around? You can't do it. So it's an interesting program. Proposes activities that are for the family to be together active in a certain period of time, but is obviously limited by the environmental conditions. Although this is a huge restriction, the European Union, as much as other associations that promote health, they are insisting a lot on active transportation. So wherever is possible, to do it, and wherever is not possible, to try to create the conditions for that. And as I said, I work together with a person, better said, I worked with him because he was a very good professor, not like me, and he was a great expert in the field of obesity and this stuff. And he was from the University of California, and they had a whole research area in which, or a whole intervention area in which they would go from government to government, from administration to administration, together with architects, together with other workers in the urban area or urban area, and they would present to the government's plans to increase or reduce the expenses costs related with passive transportation. So would try to convince them, to make them see the importance of having environmental condition that would allow the active transportation. Where were you, Daria? Sorry again. I don't know if I asked you, but where were you located in the United States?
Birmingham, Alabama, like super southern.
Alabama. And
Yeah.
so where you were, it was impossible also, because Alabama is known to be like kind of relatively countryside friendly, but I assume it depends on where exactly you live, right?
But you have to get everywhere with the car, so that's a big problem. I had like 3 kids, and to get all of them in the car with all their bikes, and the youngest were not even 1 year old, so it's been a little challenging from the age side as well. But of course, the parents tried to give them challenges and gave me some sort of to-dos day by day to make their kids move daily. But also the schools offered many out-of-school programs, like after school or in their lunch breaks, they could attend sporty activities. completed by the school. So they try their best to use their land side, knowing that the parents are pretty busy by driving all over the places, and you have to at least, I don't know, like 30 minutes to get somewhere where are less cars and not that high traffic.
Yeah, well, these programs depend a lot on the environment and on the conditions that you have. So some of them may be feasible here in Austria, others do not exist in Austria because there is no need for them, or because there are not the conditions for that. So each country really has to adapt. If they want to promote game activity through games and this stuff, they have to promote it in a different way based on their need and their resources. So someone, a good question that I'm ask everybody, because I have little experience with that. What about the e-bikes? I've seen also me and my wife and my kids, we go a lot up there to Mutran, and we walk up there, or we go up there with the cabin and then we come back walking. But anyways, we meet a lot of e-bikers. Those do that in the beginning, since I didn't have much experience with that, I was like, oh my God, these guys are really trained. Look at, they go up and they seem that they don't put any effort. And then I discovered that it was e-bikes. I think that's what you referred to, right? Because Adrian is writing me on in the chat, and he was the one who asked the question. You mean the electric bikes, right? The assisted bikes. Am I correct, Adrian? If you're there? Yes. So I have little experience. In my opinion, for what I know, but I may be wrong, so I'm happy if someone corrects me. It's a halfway issue. Oh, I'm explaining myself. Obviously, you don't do as much effort that, and I'm telling by experience, not direct experience, but because my father just bought one a couple of months ago. So this is not professional opinion, but personal opinion. Definitely you do less. It seems like you do much less effort. You put much less effort than if you were biking normally. So in that sense, it may be considered an issue because you have less activity, right? But I see it also the cup half full, because my father, for instance, would be never able to go out there and bike for 50 kilometers if he didn't have that. He would probably stay home rather than try, because he would die in the process. And still you put some effort, as far as I understood. But again, if you have more experience, I'm glad to hear that. As far as my father says, you can choose also how much effort you put in pushing. So you're still more active than being alone. So if there is no other solution, and you have, for instance, for elderly, you don't have anymore the ability and the strength to do the pure bicycle cycling around, is still a great opportunity to be a bit active and be able to do this path that they wouldn't be able to. This is the little opinion that I grew based on the small information that I have. And I would gladly hear from you what's your opinion if you have more experience. And I believe that many of you will have more experience than I have, because e-bikes is the first time I saw them was here in Austria. So I have little experience. What do you guys, what's your experience in that, or what's your opinion in that, if any?
I'm like, first of all, I was completely against these e-bikes as well, but I think especially for older people in the land side, it's pretty cool because they still can go outside, though many of them do not know how dangerous it can be, or they choose tours which really is not made for their health and fitness level. So I think it's very dangerous as well. But if you find this golden path, kinda, you can still going a little hilly paths and stuff. That's not a big deal, and it even fills them with joy because they can do something outside without being dependent from somebody who is driving them or I don't know, just because they're old and not that muscular and fit anymore, like 20 years ago, they still can do something sporty. So I think that's pretty cool, since you also can do something with your grandchildren without having them at your own home all day and get bored. So I think we really should be more open-minded towards them, though it's a little
Tricky,
Mm,
maybe.
well, not tricky, but if you, as a young person, fight your freaking ass up this hill, and then there's an old guy just pulling over you and smiles back, you're like, okay, you can really enjoy a ride. But all in all, I think it's good that people have more chances to go outside again, and you also can choose the level of support. So it's not just because it's not a motorbike, but you also have to put some effort in it as well.
Other opinions? I don't know if you, I know the chat is private, so you can't read it, but Adrian was mentioning something probably relatively similar, that yeah, maybe for older people who have more limitations in their movements, it can represent a good opportunity, provided they do it properly, or there is a need for some education in that, no? What kind of path I can do with that, what's not risky, what's not also not bothering, because it's not really bothering, but interfering with other bikers' activities. So maybe there should be different paths depending on what kind of bike you're using, because it becomes dangerous from both sides if they have different speeds or this stuff. And then Adrian was also saying, but for youngsters, or those who are young and are still, they have enough effort to put, it's a sort of not the ideal solution, because you can still do that, like you understand it with elderly, because their limitation, but not with youngsters. And it's true that I saw a lot of youngsters, but this was Adrian's thought, which I agree with. Interesting point also from Daria. Is there anybody who wants to comment to your experience or your opinion in that?
Yes, me. I have an e-bike and I live in a valley in South Tyrol. And for the youngsters, I think it's more like a transportation method.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went to sports, to training, and then instead of driving by car or letting my mother driving me by car, I took the e-bike, and for this, it's a very good, transportation method.
I guess depends on the situation. Like if you are already active and you are going, for instance, to your sports training or whatever, and you take that e-bike, is still a better solution than the car, definitely. But if you are going to train, then you cannot really bike back, because it's more and more effort, maybe too much. That's what you mean, Pauli?
Yes, because the streets are steep in the valley, so
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it's easier with the e-bike, because it would be too hard to ride your bike to training and then ride back again after the training.
I guess it's just summarizing, and probably my opinion very similar to yours, but you have more experience with that, so it's good to hear it from you. It needs, like probably like everything, needs to be used with moderation. Like what kind of target people are the most suitable? Maybe elderly, but what kind of conditions, what kind of situations you have also around? Like for instance, Pauli going to training and taking the e-bike is definitely better than taking the car. Yes. Still, I'm personally, I could be classified as still not anymore young adult, but just adult, and I live in Mutters. I always proposed myself to take the bike to go down to work. Still haven't done it. Guilty. Probably if I had an e-bike, I would have less. I would do it probably more easily than if a regular bike, because also it requires some, especially for those who live up here, It requires some basic fitness. Perhaps I have it, I don't know, but also skills. Like Daria was saying, it's not that just because you have an e-bike you can go wherever you want. You need different skills also for biking, etc. And I haven't biked that much in my life, so I can bike, but I'm not really. I don't know if I would be 100% safe going with a regular bike. And so in some conditions, it still gives you more opportunities than taking a car. I'm taking a car every day. I'm sure that if I took any... Sorry guys. Mamma ti porta adesso, babbo arriva. Maria, babbo non può adesso. Sorry guys. It's the typical caca time for my kid and she only wants me. So it's the poop time. So anyways, so it needs to be used with moderation. Of course, if you are using it because you don't want to put much effort, but you can do that, great. In other cases, you really can't do that. For instance, I don't know if I can go to work by bike so far, so maybe it could be a starting point. Going by e-bike, which I know it helps me in the effort, and then little by little getting some fitness and going with a regular. Definitely is better. What I can tell you is that it's better than in my opinion, is better than a regular motorbike because you still put some effort in it. So better something than nothing, as long as you don't abuse it. Anyways, this was interesting discussion, a bit out of the topic, but interesting discussion. If that program that they were saying that they were doing with bicycle was with normal bicycles, no e-bikes. But again, it's environmental locked, so it depends on the kind of environment you have to, if you can do it or not. In general, the active transportation. Final point, very quickly. Last program is called Sugar Pass. Why do I mention it? For one simple reason: they try to promote physical activity and healthy habits with games. But they are not regular games, they are video games. So so-called exercise games are known for now sometimes. So exercise games are those games that in which you are active, like for instance the Wii games, you know, in which you have to run on a carpet, on a small carpet, or you have to do some movements to keep, and then it's reproduced on TV on the video game. That's not what they are discussing in Sugar Pass. What they're discussing in Sugar Pass is like a regular video game. So you are sedentary, you are sitting, you are playing the video game, but these video games are supposed to give you information on, so develop literacy on physical activity habits and nutritional habits. Personally, I'm not really a fan of it. I don't know about you. Would like to hear your opinion. I'm not a great fan because you're still sitting. Yeah, they tried it also in the United States. I know about someone who tried and got a lot of funds for developing a video game on that. But you are still, yeah, you may get information through a fun video game on what's good for your body, what's good to eat, etc. But that's completely different than real life. So for me, it's a bit tricky, and I'm not really a fan of it. But I want you to know that it exists. If you have any opinion, please give it to me right now, or to everybody, better said. I have someone who's... No, okay, I thought that someone was talking, but you are all mute. So anyone who has an opinion or experience with these video games that are developed to give you some culture on that, but they are just video games? What do you think? No opinion. Just to, in my opinion, like video games or this, like technology is important for us now to reach the kids, but not in the way they propose it in this program. Just my personal opinion, but more like a support. Nowadays, kids have all kids have phone, smartphone. All kids have used technology, so it's good to use technology, but in a way in which they keep doing some game. Maybe you can propose games, challenges. They have to record themselves, but just sitting there and trying a game doesn't really, in my opinion, work that much. But for your information, I included also that program in the list because it's anyways listed in programs that are funded by the. Actually, this is funded by the European Physical Education Association, which is connected to the European Union. And that will be the last for me today. Questions, obviously, if you have. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No questions. Wonderful. I will post this document, and the document includes also links to the pages of these programs. I will post it in useful files, so you find it there. If you're interested in watching it or in checking it more. And then, as I said, next week is not mandatory to participate, but only if you have more questions, if you have doubt, if you want to go over some topic that you have doubt about, then we... Brava, Maria. Sorry, my daughter. And if you have any other... Maria, un attimo, so if it's just for you, for any of you that wants to discuss with me something specific on the activities or on the topics, so I will send you the link, but remember, I will be there, but remember, Maria, go to mommy for a moment, okay? But remember that it's not mandatory. What's mandatory is to complete the activities, and if you do not connect with me next Monday, but you still have doubts or feedback, or you need feedback, write me an email or write me a remind or contact me in any way so I can help you out before the deadline. All right? Everything, since I have a question on the chat, everything I think I wrote it yesterday, but everything will be due by the 30th of June. 30.
Yes,
Put it the 30th of June, so you have a bit more time that I initially say that I will give you, but I know that many of you are overwhelmed with activities of many types, because when you are online it's even tougher than seeing each other in the class. So 30, no later than 30th of June, then I'm required to grade, etc. But if you want feedback, or if you want to have the opportunity to change something in case I give you a feedback that things need to be changed, I suggest you to do it earlier than that, so you can send it to me and I can tell you, okay, you're on the right path, or you need to change this, so you would have time to do that. If you send me everything the 30th of June, then that's it. I get it, I grade it. Of course, I give you my comments anyways, but there won't be any possibility to change, because then it would be too late. They require me to grade you guys. All right? If you don't want to talk, you can put just this. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, a lot of thumbs up. Yeah, all thumbs up. That's what I like. Perfect. So see you guys next week for those who will connect. If not, talk to you on email. And if I don't hear you via email, I hope to meet you at the university next semester. That means that we will be finally having a normal life again. So I'll keep in contact, and I will send you little by little. I will send you all the feedback and all the information on the activities already done. And check the checklist for the activity that you're missing. See you next time, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.